Hello there, good human. I'm Dr. Marie Murphy, and I am a non-judgmental infidelity coach. If you are cheating on your partner or having an affair or engaging in anything you think counts as infidelity, I can help you deal with your feelings, clarify what you want, and make decisions about what you're going to do. No shame, no blame, no judgments. If you are ready to resolve your infidelity situation in a way that's truly right for you, I can help you do it. To learn more about how you can have me as your coach, go to my website, mariemurphyphd.com. All right, in my last several videos, I've talked about the experience of being the other person or someone who is involved with someone who is ostensibly in a committed, probably monogamous relationship with someone else. Today, we are going to talk about being the other person on a repeated basis, or even on a habitual basis, meaning you have been involved with someone who is married or in a committed relationship multiple times. If that is you, if you have been the other person multiple times, I have a question for you. Well, actually, two questions. Why are you doing this? Why do you continue to get involved with people who are in committed relationships with other people? I'm not asking you those questions to scold you. I'm asking you those questions because I really want you to answer them. Why do you continue to get involved with people who are married or are in committed relationships? I really want you to answer that question, and I want you to answer it honestly and comprehensively. And I also know that this may be challenging for you to do. What sometimes happens when I ask a client these kinds of questions is they say something like, well, this just keeps happening to me. I can't help it. It just so happens that I continue to meet great people and they just so happen to be married. And if they choose to get involved with me, that's on them as much as it is on me. They're the one who is married after all. And you may be tempted to answer my questions in this way too. So here's what I want you to consider if this is your answer or something close to this is your answer. What you aren't changing, you're choosing. I'll say that again. What you aren't changing, you're choosing. If you are not changing something, you are effectively choosing it. And sometimes this works out great. I don't change my brand of dental floss because I absolutely love my brand of dental floss and I don't want to change it, right? This little saying isn't implying that there's anything in particular in your life that you need to change. But if you don't like it, that you're habitually getting involved with people who are married, you need to recognize that you play a role in this happening. Yes, it does take two to tango, no doubt about that. But that doesn't really matter, not for our purposes anyway. What does matter is that you have the power to change your patterns if you want to. Now, let's be really clear about something before we go any further. If you like getting involved with people who are married, it is your prerogative to keep doing that. So if you are consciously choosing to repeatedly get involved with people who are in committed relationships and you like the results of your choices and your actions, go with God. Go live your life and love your choices, right? But if you do not like it that you have repeatedly gotten involved with people who are in committed relationships, it's time for you to recognize your power to change your habits and your patterns. And often, changing our habits requires us to get really clear on what we are getting out of our current habitual behavior. Sometimes we are not consciously aware of why we continue to choose a particular kind of experience or a particular kind of relationship. But with a little bit of investigation, it's possible to find out what's going on with us. So I want you to ask yourself, what do you get out of being the other person? Put differently, what do you like or appreciate or enjoy about being the other person? I know it might seem like you don't like the experience of being the other person and you don't get anything out of the experience of being the other person, but I promise that isn't quite as true as you think it is. So here are some examples of what some people get out of being the other person to help you jog your thinking. Some people find a particular thrill in getting involved with someone who is ostensibly committed to someone else. Some people really like the idea of stealing someone else's partner away from them. Some people enjoy the fact that they're doing something that they aren't supposed to be doing. Some people get a kick out of being naughty or downright devious. Finding excitement or delight or arousal in doing things that are forbidden or are typically considered naughty or bad isn't necessarily a bad thing. But we always have the opportunity to ask ourselves if we like what we get out of acting on our desires. Sometimes we love the results we get from acting on our desires. And sometimes acting on our desires creates results in our lives that we really dislike. So to use an example that is not related to infidelity, maybe we get a thrill out of shoplifting. And maybe we've acted on our desire to shoplift many times. And maybe sometimes the consequences of acting on that desire have been kind of great. Sometimes we have successfully stolen the thing without getting caught, and we've gotten to experience the rush that we get out of stealing something, right? And getting away with it. And then we also get to experience possessing the thing that we stole, which we may really like as well. So maybe shoplifting is an uncomplicated win for us sometimes. But maybe sometimes we steal the thing and we get away with it, but we still feel kind of gross afterwards. Maybe it's guilt that we feel. Maybe it's some other emotion. Maybe we aren't really sure what we feel, but we know that we do not feel good. And maybe we say to ourselves, I'm not sure if that was a net win or a net loss. Or maybe we get caught shoplifting and it's kind of awful. But even if we experience consequences we don't like from doing the thing that we like to do, we may still want to do it anyway. And if that's the case, we may want to learn how to tolerate our desire to do the thing, whether it's shoplifting or getting involved with someone who's married or anything else, without acting on the desire to do the thing. It is possible to want to do something and not do it because we prefer what happens when we don't do the thing to what happens when we do the thing. And we can all learn how to do this, and this is something that I can teach you how to do. So, more specifically for our purposes, if you know that you get a thrill or a rush or a high out of getting involved with people who are married, but you don't like the overall results of getting involved with people who are married, it may be time to learn how to want to seek out the thrill of getting involved with a married person without actually getting involved with another married person. And this is totally doable. This is something that I can help you with. Here's another example of something people sometimes get out of engaging with people who are in committed relationships. Distraction from other important things in their life that comes in the form of relationship drama. If you are involved with someone who is in a committed relationship, you may have a pretty steady supply of readily available relationship drama. And you may really like this relationship drama for all sorts of reasons. It's exciting. It's dramatic. The stakes seem really high. The whole thing is like this roller coaster of an adventure for your emotions and for your brain. right? And you may not be entirely conscious of why you like this relationship drama, but you may still enjoy it anyway. In general, human brains prefer to be entertained than to be bored. And it may be just as simple as that. You may have somehow learned that getting involved with someone who is married can provide you with a lot of entertainment in the form of relationship drama. And you may like that, and you may seek that out again and again, perhaps consciously, perhaps not so consciously. And if this is what's been happening for you, or if this is an element of what's been happening for you, it isn't a sign that there's anything horribly wrong with you. We all, to varying degrees, do things consciously and semi-consciously to fulfill our various needs and desires, such as, for instance, the desire to be entertained or distracted from something that we don't want to deal with. And this isn't a bad thing about being human, but it is something that we may want to be really conscious about. You may ask why anyone would want to be distracted by relationship drama, and more specifically, the drama that can be associated with engaging with someone who is married. Lots of reasons. Some of us know in our bones that we hate our current career, but we are terrified of making a career change. It may seem a lot more appealing to occupy ourselves with our married affair partner and deal with all of the relationship drama that comes with doing that than to sit down and face our fears about changing our line of work and then actually work to change our line of work, right? Or some of us know that we want to write a novel or a screenplay or even a short letter of apology to someone. But every time we sit down to write, that little voice in our head says, "Who do you think you are to try to write this thing?" Starts to pipe up. And we may not have any idea what to do about that. And that little voice in our head may terrify us. So instead of sitting our butt down in our chair and sitting at the desk and doing the writing that terrifies us, we may prefer to distract ourselves instead. And we might choose infidelity-related drama as our weapon of choice. Not because it necessarily seems like a great idea on paper, but because it's effective. Another common reason why I see people repeatedly getting involved with folks who are already in committed relationships is because they don't believe they can have the kind of relationship they truly want to have. A lot of folks who habitually get involved with married people really want to be with someone who is fully available to be with them. Their actions might suggest otherwise, and I'll tell you why that's the case in just a moment, but their conscious desire is to have a great relationship with somebody who is available to be in a fully committed, great relationship with them. The problem is that they don't fully believe that they can have that. You may have heard people talk about limiting beliefs. And although I think some of the talk about limiting beliefs gets a little unproductive, it is important to be aware that our beliefs about what is possible for us really matter. And here's why. When we believe something is true, we tend to act as if that is so. And our beliefs drive our actions. When we want something and we believe it's possible for us to have that something, we tend to go after it. Remember the old Henry Ford line? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you are right. There's a lot to that. When we want something, but we don't believe we can have that something, we tend to do all kinds of really weird shit, to put it in the most technical terms possible. We might kind of pursue what we want, but we might sabotage our efforts in all sorts of interesting ways. And making ourselves available to relationships with people who are married is one way to pursue a romantic relationship, if that's what we want. But it's also a very effective way to introduce the possibility that the relationship will not go in the direction we would ideally like a relationship to go. And doing this may be an indication that you don't believe that you can have the kind of relationship that you desire. And if you keep on saying that you want to be in a committed relationship, but you then habitually get involved with people who are officially committed to someone else, it may be time to start examining your beliefs about what is possible for you in your love life. It may be time to take responsibility for examining your thoughts about what you can have and what you cannot have. And then it may be time to work on expanding your beliefs about what is available to you in terms of having the kind of relationship that you want to have. A lot of people have all kinds of limiting beliefs about what is available to them in their love lives. And those beliefs often lead people to engage in relationships they really don't want to engage in because they want a relationship very badly and they believe the relationship they're in is the best they can get. I want you to know that there is a lot more available to you than you may think, but you may have to see yourself differently and see the life differently and see the world differently in order to prove this to yourself. And examining your thinking and adjusting your thinking may take some dedicated effort. There is a lot of rather unhelpful talk out there about mindset and the power of our thinking and turning our beliefs into reality and manifesting out there. And so if you're inclined to dismiss any talk about mindset and the importance of working on our beliefs as total bullshit, I get it. But the point of working on our beliefs or our mindset is to set the stage for us to start to behave differently. And when we behave differently, we start to be able to create different outcomes in our love lives. The idea is not just that you start thinking differently and then poof, you manifest changes in your life and it just happens like magic. Not necessarily anyway. That might happen sometimes, but it won't happen all the time. Rather, the point is that we've got to start taking responsibility for what we have the power to control if we want to make changes in our love lives. And what we have the power to control starts with what we believe to be true. Starts with examining and then perhaps adjusting what we believe to be true. A central feature of my coaching is using the think, feel, act cycle or the think, feel, do cycle to shift the results we create in our lives. And what this holds is we all have thoughts about what's going on in our life. And those thoughts create emotions. And emotions give us the capacity or the propensity to take particular actions or decline to take particular actions. And then those actions or inactions create certain outcomes or results. So if you really want to live a love life that you are in love with, it is essential for you to start to understand what you have the power to control and start to take responsibility for those things. And using the think, feel, act cycle is one way to do this more effectively. And this is what I help all of my clients do, no matter whether we work together one-on-one or you enroll in my self-guided course. So getting involved in a relationship with someone who is in a committed relationship multiple times is not some horrible fate that is being foisted upon you. You are an active participant in this pattern. So what we want to start to understand is what you're getting out of doing this. Maybe you're getting confirmation that you can't have what you want, which may be a long-held belief of yours. Maybe you're getting distraction from something in your life that you don't really want to face. Maybe you're getting some really powerful entertainment out of it that serves some other purpose for you. Maybe you're getting a thrill out of doing something that you aren't supposed to be doing. Maybe it's some combination of all of those things, or maybe it's something a little bit different. Start to ask yourself what you personally are getting out of habitually being the other person. And from there, we can decide how you want to deal with that. All right, everybody. If you are ready to resolve your infidelity situation in a way that's truly right for you, there are two ways you can have me as your non-judgmental infidelity coach. You can enroll in my online self-guided course, You're Not the Only One, or we can work together one-on-one via Zoom. To learn more about both of these options, go to my website, mariemurphyphd.com. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Until next time, bye for now.